let me start off by saying that the issues that you had shown, the challenges that you're facing, the solutions are actually quite simple because coming Monday, we have a cabinet paper that is due for approval, as you've rightly mentioned over there, for the signing of the tri-party agreement. And also at the same time, certain things will be brought up in cabinet regarding the tri-party agreement and how assistance can be further enhanced. One thing, though I may be a new minister, I'm still a young minister. So when I'm young, I am quite progressive and quite open to more ideas. And how I view the JRDC is as a center for innovation, where we can make a lot of changes. Namely, that's one of the reasons why we are having this meeting here at Sivas. We're having this meeting here because as you've had a tour of the building, it's a 2.5 billion rupee building given to us by ADB at, I think, close to $8.5 million, if I'm not mistaken. And we wanted to open up this building as well for collaboration, and we could see how maybe the Chinese Academy of Sciences could work with us in that sense. And moreover, I would also like to say that yesterday I was briefed on the 6 main research pillars that was coming out of JRDC, specifically the manufacturing of our own chemicals here. And I believe that even retaining chlorine from sodium chloride, I think that will be a game changer since we are an island. And also it will help in shaping our economy because, as you all are aware, we are in the midst of an economic crisis right now. And we are looking at how to make the water ministry, the water board, and even the rural water department more sustainable economically. And I would also like to say that we should explore new avenues for research, and not just research, but also execution. You know, research without execution, it's pointless. So we need to see how we can come up with a framework where we can execute the outputs that we are getting through the JRDC. And I think there are smaller issues which, if we solve, it can eventually lead us to SDG 6, namely rainwater harvesting, which is pretty much non-existent in this country, where we have money allocated for it, but unfortunately we don't have a plan for it. So we could also see avenues on how JRDC can get involved with rainwater harvesting, especially in rural areas or remote areas where access to water is quite difficult. I mean, though we have 60.4% of our population, though they have access to clean drinking water, the reality is the rural community are left out of it. And now the water ministry and the water board, I believe, is transforming our policy into a village first policy as opposed to urban first. And more than that, I would also like to say that with the water board, especially earlier there were 12,000 odd employees, and then it was brought down to 8,300 employees. Out of 8,300, I feel disappointed to say that about 5,000 are unskilled labor, if I'm not mistaken, roughly. And when that is the case, I think we need to bring out more skilled labor force, because Sri Lanka, at the end of the day, the human resource, the human capital is quite large. And right now, the skilled labor is leaving our country. We are experiencing severe brain drain, and we feel if opportunities are created here with skills that maybe could be provided by the CAS to JRDC with our graduates, as Vice Chancellor rightly said, then I think we would not only be able to retain a skilled workforce, but also we would be able to enhance the knowledge in which the water sector is working with in this country. And for that, again, as you mentioned in your issues, that there is an issue of capacity building. What I would like to say is, yes, you had mentioned, we can send our graduates from here to maybe CAS, have a foreign exchange program. But also I would like to clarify the practicality in that. See, we can send our graduates from here to the Chinese Academy of Sciences, but that'll be a limited number. It could be 50, could be 100. If a scholarship is provided, we'd be more than happy. But however, in my opinion, I have a better solution. I suggest we use, our resources to basically start distance learning or online classes or, online capacity building programs where maybe we could get the knowledge from the CAS and we could have classes for our graduates here. So instead of sending 50 or 100, we'll be able to create, say, 500 or 600 simply by distance learning. So I suggest that maybe we could review the modalities of that as well. And other than that, I understand finances is an issue. JRDC is not financially sustainable. I'm sorry, I've got to tell you that Sri Lanka is not financially sustainable right now. And we are in the process of fixing that. But I would like to propose that maybe if a committee can be created with the chairmanship of Mr. Nishanta Ranatunga, also with the cabinet advisor, Mr. Aruthu, who is not here, to review how we can make this a more sustainable entity and even look at avenues for income generation. But one thing I can assure you, as far as income generation is concerned, I can promise you that the ministry would not be open to running businesses or looking at how we can generate income. I would rather leave that to the experts. And maybe those avenues we can see. I suggest we keep a timeline on it, a deadline, and we work according to goals and targets. If not, you will come here for the 29th time and you will see our finances are unsustainable. So I suggest we keep a target, we keep a deadline, and we see how we can power through. And also I would like to inform all of you that according to the President's vision, he is willing to start a climate change university, which he has been very vocal about. And right now the Water Ministry is in fact heading the climate change reform in this country. We are working with ADB on coming up with a climate change resilience roadmap. And apart from that, we've also agreed to assist the President on his bid to open up Climate Change University. And I think we'd be more than happy if the JRDC could get involved with that project as well, as I feel it'll bring in experts not only from here, but also from China and also your other 100 partners. And apart from that, I'm sorry to take too much of your time, just a few pointers here and there. Apart from that, there's also one important aspect. I think we should also recognize and identify the issues within this setup. Though it's a tripartite setup, there are certain issues which we need to address and bring out. We don't want this to be just a formal meeting, just for formality. You've come all the way from China, and we don't want to waste your time either. So with that being said, I think from our side, we would like the involvement of the Water Ministry and the Water Board to be further enhanced with the CAS. We don't want it to be just a program where we are sending people on trips and holidays and they are coming back, and we need to see how we can rectify that. So I would honestly ask Ministry Secretary, unfortunately he's not here right now, but through the Ministry Secretary we are going to give a proposal on how we can make this into a more interactive partnership, and how we can also increase the involvement of the Water Board as opposed to just one or two people. So I think the chairman would be in agreement with that as well. And lastly, just to end all of this, I would also like to say that in our bid to achieve SDG 6, as I told you, 60.4% is what our water coverage is. I noticed you had spoken about bringing EDR equipment into this country for the purpose of providing water to rural communities. See, one thing, we are very open to that idea, and I think the chairman would be able to lead it from our side because of the fact that Sri Lanka, if you look at the main issue that we are facing in terms of the water sector, in my opinion, I'm also the minister for the housing sector. So what I've noticed is whenever we build houses, at the end of the day, it's always septic tanks, there's no wastewater management, it's all the same things. So when that is the case, groundwater is getting polluted. And for us, the cheaper, the less contaminant way is to utilize groundwater over surface water. But the more we do that, the more we are, it's the beginning of the end, because we are a small island and the damages in environment are too severe for us to understand right now. And so we would like to utilize more of our surface water, increase our surface water, and reduce the utilization of groundwater. We would like to preserve it. So those are avenues which we can see, and I think your EDR equipment or concept, I think that would work quite well with this. So I would like a more detailed brief on this EDR concept and how we can bring it into our framework. And yes, that would be it. Thank you once again, everyone, for coming. Shishinin.
Lifetraveler channel.